Hey, hi, hello, my name is Captain, and I'm going to show you how I turned this into this, and also how I ended up here. Well, to get to that, we gotta start from the beginning. I wanted to make Michi a fursuit head before a FurCon in January. I started this project in September. That's a pretty nice chunk of time, right? Right? Well, long story short, I got distracted. Of course I did. The head I printed ended up not being big enough for Michi in print, but for some reason fit them perfectly once the head was finished, and the one I had resized and made a lot bigger to fit them in print had fit them in print, but once I finished the head, it ended up being too small. How the heck that works, I have no idea. Wizards. I was already working on another design for a partial, so this sort of scrapped head that I just had laying around worked out just fine for me. I decided I would turn this scrap piece into a fish dog with bright orange colors and fun blues. To that one Minecraft player that said my blue and orange wool roof thing was the worst color combination ever. What? The colors were also mostly due to me having a surplus of blue and wanting to use the rest of my orange. So I also wanted an excuse to buy more brown for my other partial projects. So yeah, I had a lot of excuses for the color for the color combination on this suit. Now that I had my head base, I needed to make some adjustments. The eyes I wanted to use didn't really fit exactly in the eye holes I had already cut out, so I took a heat knife and fixed them up with some scrap PLA. And then I needed to bond all the parts of the head together to make one cohesive thingamajig. So at this point, it was welding time. With plastic. I taped parts of the head together so it would be easy for me to hold while I did this. I basically took scrap PLA, then went in with a heat knife and melted it around the seams on the outside and the inside of the head. I find this makes a much nicer bond rather than just super gluing the parts together for them to just fall apart after one solid bonk to the head. That being said, 3D printed heads are durable but fairly fragile compared to foam heads. For example, you could yeet a foam head across a room and it will survive, whereas a 3D printed head will end up cracked or damaged in some areas. You can sit on a foam head and it will be fine, whereas if you sit on a 3D printed one, it will hurt both you and the head because it is solid plastic and not squishy. Unless you print your head with TPU, but that's a whole other story. With the head basically welded together with plastic along the seams, it shouldn't fall apart if bonked or falling a short distance. So now I had to do the innards. I'm personally still figuring out what works for the inside of the head for me, but what I find most comfortable at the moment is adding a foam piece around the nose bridge, forehead, eyes, and cheeks. This felt like heaven to me. Mind you, my head has zero padding on the inside of the face, so all I have is my balaclava and inside lining to protect me from my plastic eye blinks. But with the added padding in this head, I've been seriously considering adding it to my own because it just feels so much nicer. The only thing I would do is remove the padding around the nose area for better ventilation and comfort. This was my first time patterning my own lining, and as confusing as it was, I'm glad I did it, even though it just looks like melted cheese on the inside. But at least it looks like yummy, smooth, cheesy fondue compared to scrunchy American craft cheese that's still stuck to the microwave plate. I also added a Velcro elastic strap that's adjustable so the head is comfortable and easy to put on. Now it was time for my favorite part, patterning. Patterning is so much fun. I enjoy drawing out the markings and seeing the head come to life a little bit. I only pattern half of my head because when making felt heads, symmetry is your worst enemy, so having the pattern makes symmetry just a bit easier. Now that the head is fully patterned, I took a million pictures so I know how this big old puzzle goes together. I then cut out all the pieces of tape and put them on paper, then cut the paper out and marked it on the fabric, then cut that out. So basically, a whole lot of cutting with my scissors. Also, side note, I have 3 different pairs of scissors, one for paper and fur, one for tape, and one for fabric. So basically my pristine prized possession that glides through fabric like butter, and then my 2 beat up burner scissors. I do this mostly for the comfort of my hands. I have very beat up hands, so this saves time, frustration, and my knuckles. Once I had my patterns all cut out, it was time to sew. I'm not the biggest fan of the sewing part of fursuit making, even though that's like the whole thing. But for me, it's different because I'm sewing with plush fabric. So while I'm sewing, I have to be very mindful about the length I sew in to make sure that it's the same on the other side, and just symmetry. Like, I was already bad with symmetry on fursuits, but on plush fabric, man, I really hate myself, don't I? I've had to redo sewing the face on several plush fursuit heads because I didn't like how the symmetry looked. So then you ask me, why don't you sew the face with fur? And then I'll tell you, because shaving fur is hell, and I'd rather suffer in symmetry hell than furnado hell. Case closed. A leap forward, and the lining on the face is done. At this point, I wanted to make the ears for the head and had already 3D printed a set that I wanted to use. I really wanted the head to have one floppy ear, so after patterning the ears, I cut them in half with a heat knife and used the bottom part as a base so I could bend the top of the ears around as I wanted. And then I forgot to record a bunch, and boom, magic! Looks pretty much done, right? I thought about adding eyelids and piercings, but they didn't end up working out the way I wanted, so I decided to scrap them later on. The back of the head has Velcro, so it's easy to take off, but I personally prefer Velcro over a zipper because I would just like to slip out of the head as easily as possible if needed. Once the head was finished, it was time to work on the tail and paws. The tail was something I was super duper excited to work on. I have never made a fishtail before, and I really wanted it to have like a really fun big mermaid type fin. So I patterned out the tail and decided that I would put a thin piece of foam on the inside of the fins so they would hold shape. I didn't really have an idea for the colors or pattern on the tail, so I kind of just winged it and came up with this. Isn't it cute? I did have a few issues with the main fin flopping around a little too much, but I reinforced it and voila! I'm super happy I was able to make this fishtail, because I was worried the fins wouldn't hold up the way I wanted and flop around and stay flopped and dead instead of, fun flopping. But yay, Richie's the fun flopping, yay. Look at it, it's so cute. I'm so proud of this. Now that the tail was done, it was paw time, and paw time was not really fun time. I wanted to have sort of hidden scales in the fur that at certain angles would show through and seem like fun little pops of color. Each paw had around 4 scales that I shaved around a little and hand sewn into the fur. This took me the entire day, from the moment I woke up till 2 a.m. in the morning. But once they were finished, I sewed in the beams. Once the beans were sewn in, it was time to put the paws together and stuff them. Once the paws were stuffed, I printed some claws with my 3D printer and glued them to the paws. With the paws and tail done, the entire partial was finished. Woo! But then I faced the hard, cold reality that the whole reason this project was even started was because I needed to make a head for Michi for this con that was in less than 3 days. So I had completely neglected my original project, and with whatever motivation I had left, I had to remodel the 3D model, and voila! Literally a day before the con, I fully finished this baby at like 6 a.m. And it was the same day we had to make the long drive to Arizona for PDFC. We got to our sleeping place, washed Michi's paws, and then went to bed. PDFC was the first FurCon I ever went to last year, so I was super excited to be back this year. It was a fun time. I spent a lot of time with Michi, went to some goofy panels, met some people, made a few videos, and bought a bunch of stuff at the dealer's den. I spent $373.67. I also went to a cat cafe and then made the trek back home. I'm not the best at documenting my experiences as I just like to live in the moment, so I don't really have a lot of footage from the con, but I do have some footage of this con table and board that was full of sticky notes drawn on by a lot of attendees. I thought these were so cool. There were like some really cute ones. I know I have like a couple of my favorites. I was like, oh my goodness, I love that one. It's so goofy. But to see just like all of the attendees' art and stuff like that all scattered all over this table and board, it just, I don't know, it just felt really special. So that's why I decided I was gonna record it and also add my own little addition too. And now the fish dog. They were finally finished. This is the first partial, or really fursuit, I'm ever putting on the market. I had so much fun creating this and working on them, and I also learned a lot. So I'm very proud of this suit. Bearbolt64 says, semi-newish subscriber here, but I love your videos. Do you have other types of videos you would like to try making at some point? Yes, I'm not sure if you were saying ASMR related, but I'm gonna think that maybe that's what you meant. But I would really love to make a silly movie cinematic ASMR type video. I'd most likely do it in VR because that would be easier, but I would want to make it a story-rich fantasy ASMR series, and I think that would be a fun video to, I guess, put together. Amelia420 asks, what sort of ASMR do you enjoy listening to? Does it differ from what you enjoy creating? I like listening to silly story roleplay type ASMR, and just as much as I like listening to it, I love creating it. Kyle is hungry asks, do you plan on doing ASMR content for the rest of your YouTube career? Nope. I'd also like to make videos like this, just fun chatting and creating related type videos and stuff. I really hope you guys find it just as entertaining as my ASMR, because I would really love to make more of these. MooneyLooney_ asks, is this the Krusty Krab? Yes. No, but really, who made your fursuit head? Super duper adorable. I actually made my fursuit head. Funnily enough, she was also a last minute project for PDFC last year. Bennyfen_1 asks, what inspired your persona design and overall species? Over time, she changed into my more prominent Minecraft phase, and then she morphed as I started drawing a lot more, and then she is pretty much what she is now. She isn't really inspired off of anything, but what colors make my eyes happy? Sushi Fox Zero asks, what inspired your character's color palette? It reminds me of cotton candy. I love it. Aw, thank you. The colors make my eyes happy, and I love bright eyes bleeding colors. Shade491 asks, what made you want to try/start making ASMR videos? Also, keep up the amazing videos. Thank you. It was actually the story creating part of ASMR videos. I really love the silly stories that people would come up with, and I wanted to do that too. Brodeno asks, what is your favorite ASMR trigger to listen to? And what is your favorite to perform? Actually, tail tapping is my favorite to listen to, and fur brushing is my favorite trigger to perform. Moon Komori asks, can we get an ASMR Q&A? Danny the Deer asks, what is your process for making videos and recording audio? Also, how did you get into the furry fandom? I just go off my title and use that as a prompt, then freestyle the videos. But for my videos with my fursuit, I'll record my audio first, then record my video so they match up. And that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I got into the furry fandom young, and the culprit was telephone. Telephone videos made me a furry. Like, how could I not? Damian Pedrosa 3212 asks, what is your history before it becomes a furry? I want to hear your history because it is very interesting. Well, I don't know. Before I was a furry, I was 10, and at 10, I was doodling and playing Minecraft I watched a lot of Stampy and other Minecraft YouTubers, so I was just really, really into Minecraft at the time. I kind of miss those days. Arc0171 asks, what would be your top 3 video games of all time? Journey, Bloodborne, and Cult of the Lamb. I absolutely love those 3 games. Lilo Fire asks, what kind of music do you listen to, and do you play any instruments? I listen to a lot of different types of music, but one of my favorite songs is actually Backyard by Hot Mulligan, if that says anything. But I'm also fairly basic and play the uke. LS2007 asks, here's an interesting and somewhat unusual one. You're given 24 hours to live the life of somebody else, but it's gotta be someone who you have physically talked to in person. Who is that person for you and why? Oh, that's a bit of a hard one, but I have talked to my cat before, and my cat has meowed back at me, so I think my cat Pepper. I kind of want to know the drama between my 2 cats. I want to know why Milo and Pepper are beefing all the time. I want to know the lore. I need to know what's going on there. Multi-Zero asks, when/how did you come to the decision to be an ASMR YouTuber? I actually had an idea for a roleplay video in a perfume shop, then thought, oh, this would be fun to make in Suit, but then thought it would be more engaging if it was an ASMR video. So that's kind of how I started making ASMR videos on TikTok and then moved those to YouTube. Scrumpus asks, where was Mr. Wyoming on July 28th, 1985? And there you have it, folks. Boringa64 Apache 62 asks, do you eat kiwis with or without the peel? I tried with the peel, but it's just too prickly. It leaves in my mouth with a weird film, so I prefer to eat them without the peel. Anonymous Co 5HH asks, what's your favorite part about being a furry? I personally love meeting more creative people and getting inspired by their work in the fandom. Flaming Warlord 9549 asks, why are you so fluffy? Brush. Cheese Grater asks, would you rather have unlimited bacon but no games, or have games, unlimited games but no games? My head hurts. Also, pancakes or waffles? Waffle. Alt0259 asks, are you real? I don't know. Mars7291 asks, what kind of animal is Captain? She's a shadow wolf beast, but I'm fine with people calling her a fox or even just a wolf. Arzer asks, $20 or spin the wheel? Let's go gambling! The Blue Moonlight is Bright asks, raw chicken or raw beef? Because here in Parkour Civilization, angle this, and Cats on Zoloft asks, do you have a favorite ASMR artist? If so, who? My favorite ASMR artist is Leer. They don't really make as many ASMR videos that much, but every single one that they've come out with is like a masterpiece. If you want to see something beautiful, please check out their ASMR videos, because they really do deserve a lot more attention. Like, it's just beautifully crafted in visuals, sound, and just everything. I'll even link the video down in my description, so please watch this video. I beg of you, please. It's so good. Flareon8858 asks, favorite Pokemon and why? Lotad. Look at him. He is just a little guy. Danielle ___ asks, how are you doing today? I'm good. How about you? And that just about wraps up all the questions I picked out for this Q&A. Thank you to all who asked their questions. I really appreciate your little contribution to this video. So yeah, to all of you, I'm going to put all of your little like thingies on the screen here. I'm going to give you all little shout outs. So here you are. Thank you to all who submitted their questions. I really appreciate that. I also wanted to give a huge thank you to my Patreons for waiting as long as they did for this video. I know I haven't really posted in like the past 2 weeks, so I kind of like died off a little bit, but that was mostly just due to the holidays and everything like that. So I really thank you for your patience and support while waiting for me to come out with these videos. But yeah, I really appreciate each and every single one of you. So huge thank you to PK1, Van268, Wolf Eric, XFox64X, Jordy TM, Ace Armada, JD, and others for joining my Patreon and supporting my content. I deeply appreciate their support, and if you would like to help me make more videos like this, ASMR related or more of this style as well, you can check out my Patreon down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.